I'd like to introduce myself. Honijana Nishnamidikon, Weebijiak, Majitso, Ibadoyam, Nishnabi Noshwan, Sinnagwin, Nisei, Kansas Kickapoo, Mane, Kansas Potawatomi. What I just said is, hi, how's it going, my friends out there? I bring you my greatest blessings this evening. And I am a member of the Kickapoo Nation of Kansas, and I'm also Potawatomi, so that makes me part of the Council of Three Fires. And I know that Metagod will probably talk some about that too. Oh, and it's kind of interesting because the Kickapoos are, and the Potawatomis, both in Kansas, were the people that the restoration was sent. As the missionaries went, they were the ones that were on the western borders of Missouri. And my people still live here just about 75 miles to the west of here. So it was my people that the missionaries came to in the restoration. And for me, as one who is a Kickapoo, it actually means he who moves about, or standing here or standing there. So if I'm moving around tonight up here, that's why. No. But my people were also great warriors, and they were mercenaries a lot of times for the Potawatomi. But what's interesting is the Potawatomi were the keepers of the fire. They were the ones to light the way. And so for me, sometimes I have to think about that, because I am called to help light the way. Last night, as I was listening to what was happening in the evening, after as the evening was coming to a close, the thunder beings began to talk. And any of you that were here last night, a beautiful rain came in. And we talk about the thunder beings, the angels that sit on the west, the messengers that come to bring messages to us. And I have to say that every major event that has happened in my life at some point in time, the rain always comes right at that particular event. And I was looking today even at how beautiful the sky was here and how clear it was and everything. And I have to say that every time in my life, that when I was baptized, it rained on the day that I was baptized. When I was confirmed, it rained on the day that I was confirmed. When I was married, it rained on the day of my marriage. When I was ordained a priest, it rained on the day that I was ordained a priest in a teepee in Kansas. And it was a crystal clear, perfect day as far as you could see in every direction, and yet it still rained on that ordination. It rained when I was called the office of elder. It rained on the day that I was called to be an evangelist. Actually, it snowed. So that was very unique. And it's rained at both of my sons' baby blessings and my granddaughters. So I always watch how the Lord wants to speak to me and how he wants to speak to others. And last night he was speaking. And the rain came in as a blessing. And as a purification. So I know that this particular event is really special. The Lord wants to do something special with it. So I'd like to share a couple of testimonies with you. One starting when I was 16, and that was 51 years ago, so you do the math. But the Lord spoke to me through my patriarchal blessing. And all of you who are part of the restoration, I'm guessing most of us have that in common, that we have patriarchal blessings of some type. And in that particular blessing, the Lord told me that in my lifetime, I would see the erection of the temple in the center place. And if I was willing, I'd be able to experience the endowment experience that will come to pass there. And if I'm willing, I will be able to be in the heartbeat of that movement. And I like the way the Lord speaks, if I am willing. And so that's a question I ask all of you. Are you willing? And he's even went on to say that I would see a beautiful expression of Zion in my lifetime. That was 51 years ago. So I know that it is not far away. And I believe that we're on the precipice of this to take place. Fast forward in about 12 years ago, I had a dream given to me one night, and those of you, and there's some people here of the Community of Christ, some who grew up as RLDS that know me. I had a dream given to me, and as you think about Acts chapter 2, it says that in the last days your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions, your sons and daughters will prophesy. And as I've always been one who's had that gift of dreams given to me, and as I had a dream that one night, it opened up, and I was in a bus. And you see these buses that ride around all over the place. They're like the white, maybe like a white Ford front end on them, and they've got the big fiberglass body on them. They seat about 30 people and that kind of thing. And I was in a bus like that. And I was sitting in the middle seat right behind the driver. And I had friends around me. Some of them are right here in this crowd. And there were other people on that bus that I did not know. But in the driver's seat of the bus was President Steve Easy, who is the president of Community of Christ Church at present. And in the passenger seat was Paul Lucero, who is a good friend of mine, and I wish my brother was here this evening. Paul's probably about a decade and a half older than me, and I thought it was interesting because as I looked around to see who was in there, we were moving along in an area where the land was flat. It would seem like it was in the fall, just like now. And it was quite beautiful looking out over the landscape and everything. And then suddenly the bus started to go down a steep hill. And it began to pick up momentum. And it was moving along faster and faster. And you could feel the energy and the excitement within the vehicle because it was like all of a sudden everyone was like, well, what's happening? What's going on? And all of a sudden, Steve Easy turned to me, and I was sitting in the middle of the seat right behind, kind of over behind the engine hump. And he turned and said, "Here, Sinnagwin, take the wheel." And he turned and looked at me, and he had sort of a look of fear and panic on his face. And he opened the door of the van and he jumped out and did one of those numbers, probably like you'd see in the Hollywood movies, where it was a tuck and roll. I could see him kicking up dust as he kind of rolled out through the grass on the side, and the door slammed. And I looked ahead, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's no driver in the bus. And I immediately jumped into the driver's seat of the bus. And my friend Paul was still in the other side. And the bus was still picking up momentum, and the steep hill was getting steeper. And we were going down, and pretty soon you could hear all the panic of the people in the bus beginning to even scream some and that kind of thing. And we saw a river down in front of us, and we could see it coming up. And as we're getting there, closer and closer, suddenly I realized the bridge is out. And then you could really hear the panic of the people within the van at this point. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, Lord, what do you want me to do? And as we gain momentum, I look at it, I'm like, hold on, everyone. I'm going to step on the gas. So just like our brother talked about being willing to do something different, I stepped on the gas and I said, hold on, we are going to jump the river. And that's exactly what happened. I put the hammer down and the bus went down, it jumped the river, and we come flying to a screeching halt on the other side. You could hear the panic inside, people screaming and yelling and everything. And we lit and we skid to a side in the bus, and it came to a halt. And you could just hear the sigh of relief of everyone inside that vehicle. And we all just kind of sat there for a moment because we were stunned and shocked. And we just gone over a raging river. And as we sat there for a moment, then suddenly everyone in the van begins to say, hey, we need to go up the hill. Can you guys see that over there to the left, where the road is kind of worn up there on that left side? And, Sinnagwin, you need to drive that way. And I looked at the hillside and I thought, I don't think that's the way we're supposed to go. That looks like lots and lots of people have tried going up that side. The ground was all torn up. It looked like four-wheel drives had been going up there. And I looked to the right, and in the grass, I could see one really faint set of road marks that where some vehicle had gone up there one time before, and there was no other marks. But because of everyone's encouragement in the vehicle, I said, okay, we'll give it a try. We'll go up the left side. And so I tried driving up that left side. We even got a run at it. And, we're spinning the tires in this big vehicle and people are yelling and screaming and everything. And we're just not making any traction. We'd get partway up, we'd slide back down the hill, try again, same old thing. And so I thought about it for a second. I thought, this is still not the way to do it. And so I backed down, pulled the vehicle to a stop. But the thing was that when I turned around to look in the back of the vehicle, I suddenly realized it was like a large auditorium of people. And there were many, many people in there that I knew. There were many, many people I did not know. But I knew that they were all called to do the work. And so as a result of that, we sat there for a moment, and the Lord spoke to me. He says, tell everyone to get off the bus. And I said, okay. And so I turned around and said, hey, everyone off the bus. It's like, get out of the pool. And so we all piled out of this bus, and it seemed like it was endless for a few moments, just people coming and coming out of this. And even though on the outside of the bus, I'm looking at it and thinking, wow, God, how do you do that? Because I know this is more like a 30-seat bus, but there's like 400 or 500 people coming out of here. And the people kept coming out. And then I turned around and I looked back, and the white bus had turned to a blue van. And the blue van was something that I was familiar with. When I was in college, we used to have a group called NACAT, Native American Cultural Appreciation Team, and we'd travel all over to reservations and teams, and we'd teach Native American cultural ways and lives and arts and crafts and all of that, and mostly college students, a lot of professors, other friends. And it was just something that we wanted to do, but it turned into a real ministry. But as I looked at that van, I thought, oh my gosh, I know that vehicle. And then I turned and I looked, and there was a bunch of big Native guys step out of the van. And I thought, okay, if you're going to talk about traditional reservation stereotype Native guys, these guys all were big guys. They had on headbands, some of them wearing sunglasses, jean jackets, cowboy boots, that kind of thing. But what the Lord made known to me was, he said, the Indians are in charge now. And he said, they will fix the van. They will show you the way. And so I waited for a few minutes, it seemed like, and I'm watching these guys, and they're all repairing the van. They're checking the tires. They got jacks out, tools, all that. They fix the van, and one of the guys just gives me that traditional kind of native nod and pointing his lips. And like, okay, it's time to get on. And so we all just, I said, okay, it's time to get back in the van, and everyone piled in. And so, you're now going into like a 9-passenger van. How God does it, I don't know. But, and we got in the van, and I said, we're going up that hill right over there where the really faint track is. And so we drove straight up the hill. We did not spin the tires, anything. It was the easiest thing I could have ever done. I drove up the hill. I got to the top. There was a road, and everyone in the van was saying, oh, go to your left again. Go to your left. You can see there's a bridge over there. And you see that mountain over in the distance, that's all lit up. That is the mountain of the Lord's house. That's where we want to go. And everyone's trying to encourage me to go to the left. I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, that is the deception. We are not going to the left because the way the shape of the land is, it's a deception. We need to go to the right again. And so we went to the right, and sure enough, going to the right, the road curved around, and we began to go up the mountain. And as we went up the mountain, people were singing in the van. It was beautiful, just like singing tonight here. And as we got further and further up the mountain, the brighter and the brightness was so bright to the point where I could not see any longer. And then I came out of the dream. And I did not want to come out of the dream. I wanted to see where the Lord wanted to take us. But I knew it was the mountain of the Lord's house. And I knew it was Zion. And I knew it was beautiful. And that was 12 years ago. And it's interesting because in about 2012, that was a year of renewal. That was a year of transition in the Jewish calendar. And as I look at that, I now look back and say, wow, a lot of things are already transitioning. Steve Easy, who is the president of Community of Christ, is stepping down from being the president of the church. At that time, a congregation came into being called First Nations in Community of Christ. Another one came out of that called All Nations. Since that time, I've met people all over the place that have a love and desire for Zion. I've met people all over who have come to say, I want to come alongside you. And help in the cause of the kingdom. And since that time, I've also learned that it takes co-pilots. My friend Paul Lucero, who was in the front seat, like I said, was older than me. I realized that sometimes we need to work with others closely, that we might get someplace to achieve what needs to be achieved. And to have navigators, someone who's already been down the path before you, and to realize that there's different talents and gifts and skills to be used. One who is the driver, one who's the navigator, and there could be others. I realize that there are many, many who want to do the work and desire to do that. And so my prayer is, and as I looked out over this congregation of people tonight, as I was walking around meeting people and looking at all the faces, I thought, wow, these are the people that are on the bus. And you are the ones called to be in the forefront. You are the ones called to be the missionaries to do this work. And the Lord doesn't give us everything that we need to know all at one time, but he gives us insight about things, and he wants us to pray about it. He wants us to come together. He's going to do it with or without us. But I would rather be it all of us that are here and others that are listening on the event tonight, because he has a great work to do. And you just have to always remember, too, the institution is not the church. And you can't let protocols sometimes and other things stand in the way of the Holy Spirit. You have to let the Lord lead the way.